What do you say, man? You want to put on another show here for the folks?
Oh man, I'm excited to do this right now. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Welcome back. I am here with my main man, Big Jonas. How you doing, buddy?
Hey Chets, how are you tonight?
Pretty good. What is it? Sunday, March 18th in the year of our Lord, 2018. Charting Crypto with Chets, episode 5. A lot of stuff going on, man. It's a lot of stuff going on right now. It's kind of exciting. I think this will be. I think will be a good show. How are you feeling?
I'm excited to talk crypto with you. It's been another dynamic day. Incredible price action, gut-wrenching moves, and we're coming on live right now at a pretty interesting time right now.
That we are. You want to? I'll just give people a real quick heads up on the format of the show, and then we can get to it. Let's go ahead and just real quickly, guys. We're gonna do, a brief intro. We're gonna jump around and actually do the major coins first. Then we're gonna jump back to news. Do the altcoins, take your chart requests, and then just kind of, we'll see where it goes. And looks like we're heading into today with a about 315 billion market cap, Big Jonas. Are we up now? It was funny earlier. I was making this graphic and it was like 285. It was a couple hours ago. So it looks like we're in a little bit of an upswing.
Yeah, the past couple hours have seen tremendous money flow. We were talking this morning about how we kind of feel like we were on the precipice from a price action standpoint. Volume super low, kind of no direction in terms of where we thought it was going. Yeah. And then, throughout the day, the volume was steadily increasing here. And I'm loving to see that the 24-hour at 6.7 billion compared to yesterday's 4.4. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's a great money flow improvement there. Very encouraging for the bulls here.
Yeah, I think it's pretty exciting. Let's jump right into it here. Let's take a look. So let's go to Bitcoin. What's going on with Bitcoin right now? Oh, this is interesting. So we had this big downtrend, and then looks like we kind of started to reverse here just a few hours ago. I know some of us were looking for a bottom based on a 4-hour chart. I know I jumped into LTC last night around 145, feeling pretty comfortable. I think it briefly dipped, it bounced from there, and Bitcoin right here, we Oh, we finished our daily candle. Let's see. Did we close above that trend line? And we did. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. The sky was falling, Big Jonas, right? It's funny. I had a couple tweets today where I was basically saying, you know, when everyone says there's no bottom, you know, that's the bottom. You see what you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were at that point. It looks like we had a real nice touch off the lower trend line. We closed above it. That's bullish to me. You know, we could go ahead and touch this upper trend line here at 10.6, 10.7. Why don't you give us your thoughts about what's going on?
Well, you know, we were trying to see what kind of hammer yesterday, I guess, this price action was kind of put in. You know, anytime you're trying to find a bottom, determine a bottom, you love to see a long wick followed by a green close, and that was just a gorgeous hammer yesterday that basically showed us that at this moment right now, the market feels that we have hit a bottom there at that 7.2 range. There just wasn't a lot of selling once we kind of hit that. And, you know, I'll say at the moment it happened, there wasn't a lot of buying either. There was definitely a lot of hesitation and kind of uncertainty. You know, we were talking yesterday about what kind of a bottom are we supposed to see. Are we going to see a V bottom, a cascading waterfall dump that will basically allow a big impulse wave up, or are we going to see something more gradual? And you know, I think today we kind of saw a mixture of both, where we kind of bottomed, did a little retest, and then the volume definitely came in as more confidence kind of grew through the day.
Absolutely. Just before we go too much further, guys, if you enjoy my content, our content, check me out on Twitter at Big Cheds. Check out the blog if you're new to trading. Even if you're not, chedstrading.blogspot.com. I put a lot of great articles up there for you guys. You hear me talk about it every week or every show. If you appreciate what we do and you want to show some love, Litecoin donation address right there, and subscribe on YouTube. We're going to try to keep putting out some content for you guys. Big Jonas and I, even Big Jonas, we did a video last night, kind of spur of the moment. That was pretty fun, wasn't it?
It was an impulse wave video, if you will.
Yeah.
But it was exciting to do it on the spot, because at that moment there was a lot of price action, and we're like, you know what, let's just do it live. And I really felt like we put out some excellent content then.
That's funny you said let's do it live. Reminds me of Bill O'Reilly.
Let's do it live.
Let's do it live. All right. Let's go ahead and real quick. So we were talking about, or I was talking about earlier today, kind of about the market psychology in terms of bottom. I just want to jump to a couple tweets I did earlier today. You know, obviously you think your own, whatever you think you write, you're like, oh, it's really interesting because I said it, but I still think it's pretty interesting. So let's just, I want to just quickly highlight a couple of my tweets here. So yeah, when everybody, so basically when everybody is super bullish and it seems like the price can't be stopped, you know, you get the fear of missing out, right? And when I said here, this was at this morning about 9:53 in the morning, I said right now it's the opposite and there's panic everywhere. And what usually happens after those extremes. So you and I, we talk a lot, Big Jonas, about how, you know, positions we're holding, and then there's points where it looks it's bad, and then we're just like, we're about to sell, you know, and then we have that voice in the back of our head that's saying, if we had been waiting, we'd actually be looking to get in here, right? You know what I mean? So that's the selling, you know, selling at the bottom, buying at the top type of thing. It's hard to avoid, isn't it?
The trader's mentality is so complicated because it's almost the opposite. You want to do the opposite human impulse action you actually feel. So when you see a sea of red in front of you, the hardest thing to do is to buy into it. And then when you see a sea of green exploding and you're already in the position, the hardest thing to do is kind of sell it, because you think, am I selling too soon? Am I leaving money on the table? Yep. So these are kind of the two things that traders always have to work with and kind of find their own balance. And you know, myself right now, I'm kind of dealing with that too, trying to figure out how I want to treat my positions here. But you know, it's all about price action right now.
Yeah, you've been doing this a long time too, and it's still hard. It's hard to, I mean, the emotional battle. You know, it doesn't matter how good you are at reading a chart, but it's that emotional battle which can really get to you, right?
I can't tell you how many rules I've written down, any personal moving forward from this point, I will not, or I will. I've,
Right.
kind of told myself only to just freak out in a moment of dramatic price action. And I think that's one of the things that we kind of have to deal with every day. If you want to do this, if you want to consider yourself a pro trader, or even just like a dabbler, and kind of be, just kind of do small amounts, kind of learn. And as you say all the time, paper trading is really the best way to get started in this, because it's zero risk and you have so much potential to kind of hone your skills.
What is paper trading? What is that exactly?
Basically, you're basically playing what if I purchase this at a certain price, and you write that price down, and then you play along. You say, okay, I'm going to follow the chart here.
Yep.
I'm going to say, what if it hits this price point? Am I going to sell? Am I going to take profit? Am I going to play it long? And you kind of play along with that, and you get to feel a somewhat of a sense of a real emotion that you might feel if you actually had real money in play. And doing that is kind of make you, over the long run, a much better trader.
All right, I think it's a good kind of a good explanation. I know we want to jump into some charts. Do you want to do some news now, or do you want to jump to the news later?
I'm going to talk a little news right now.
Okay.
I love reading about Bitcoin, because what we're seeing is, what is the mass media spin? What are they trying to convey to everybody when they talk about Bitcoin? And, the past couple days, I am seeing such negative FUD come out of the mainstream media. Everything from Bitcoin is on a path to test old lows, or mining is causing too much use of power, causing residents and bills. Russia even, trying to do some sort of environmental awareness moment to kind of turn off the mining for a certain amount of time to, save energy and whatnot. All sorts of things that are basically talking about the IRS. This is tax season. So, amongst that, there's a couple ads here and there about, or a few articles here and there about, future price predictions that kind of try and balance it out. Something about how, a lot of the major advertising companies, we discussed how Google has changed some of their rules in terms of what kind of ads they want to show on their YouTube platform. Twitter seems to basically be following suit in terms of what kind of crypto ads basically it might want to ban, or at least curtail at some way. And then you have the FTC basically trying to shut down some of these cryptocurrency pyramid scammers that have basically been out there preying on unsuspecting people and investors with promises of instant wealth, which if it always sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So in all, I almost feel these are positive things, because the more people talk about Bitcoin, the more the word falls into the mainstream media and the lexicon of our populace. These are things that are going to make Bitcoin more comfortable, people more comfortable with it. And I believe over time, as it becomes more adopted as part of our everyday lives, which I know it will be down the road, it will be much more easier and much more legitimate. And I think you're going to see a lot less of these negative stories and more about what Bitcoin and crypto and the blockchain basically can do, and less about a lot of this FUD and kind of uncertainty. I feel people that are causing this don't know much about it, or they also feel threatened by it.
All right. I think, we've talked about this a lot. The powers that be, they're not going to just give up control. With me, the FUD, what's really interesting is these major financial media networks that are supposed to be on top of their game, Bloomberg and CNBC. This content I see from them on crypto is just such garbage. You had this, like Bloomberg News had that lady on saying like death cross. One analyst says, Bitcoin could be headed for $2,000. Death cross. It's like, just you want people to be dumb. Like, if you want people to be dumb, just keep giving them, just kind of all this like really bad information. It's just like the dumbing down effect, and it's frustrating. But not much we can do about it,
I'm constantly amazed of the people they put on. I almost feel like they think they're trying to put on a balanced view of it, and some of the characters that they put on, and the problem is like there's a moral kind of hazard that is talked about in the media about what is the responsibility, especially with financial media. And because CNBC seems to be having a lot of trouble trying to figure out what their stance is on crypto, just because I'm sure they're getting a lot of flack from the big banks, kind of not wanting them to promote it as much. And I think that's the battle we're kind of having now in the media when it comes to Bitcoin in general.
Let's talk about the big article people have been talking about, or we've been hearing on Twitter and just around the web, is this G20 meeting, and I think a lot of people are anticipating that these countries would get together and just kill Bitcoin, over-regulate it or whatnot. And I know there's an argument to be made that regulation's good. It will bring in more institutional money. But what's interesting about this current rally, the timing of the rally, so right around when they announced at the G20 that they were going to hold off and not regulate cryptocurrency, we really started to see a rally. So I think that's pretty interesting. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, it's funny how a lot of these stories kind of come out. You almost feel like through the past few days, the FUD was in overdrive, and then kind of at the right moment, kind of when they feel like maybe the bottom's in now, the powers that be put out a very positive, and this is a very positive story, that basically is going to enforce the legitimization, is that a word, of Bitcoin and crypto in general. So this is a positive thing that happened today.
Let's jump right in, man. We're technical analysts, I guess, right? I'm looking at the Bitcoin 15 minute, and it's interesting to me. We're on this nice move. Jonas, you pull up that 15 minute. So we've got these big long candles here, and then kind of a bull pennant. You see how we just broke out of it, and we're kind of doing another one on the 15.
Yeah, that was some beautiful price action, and more importantly, as soon as the day changed over, it almost felt like a lot of that money was just waiting there. That they didn't want to get that candle yesterday a little too overhyped, and it gives today's price action a lot of room to run. Gorgeous. I mean, this is a move that we really have been kind of waiting for ever since the downtrend started. And if you look at the 15-minute, which you brought up there, I mean, maybe right now we're a little overbought and kind of. But I think what's important is that we're just seeing a lot of positive flow here. It almost feels like we're kind of moving in the new direction. Kind of a paradigm change feels to be in the air now.
Well, I think you're supposed to use the word shift with paradigm. I think you're required to use the word shift. Paradigm shift.
Touche.
I mean, you said Bitcoin's oversold, overbought rather. But
in the short term.
I mean, yeah, but short term, 15 minute, it's actually impressively, it's consolidating while it's cooling off. You've got the stochastics mid channel already. If I go 1 hour Bitcoin, I am overbought, but 4 hours, oversold. We're coming off oversold. We're just a brand new candle, so we could go for another 6 hours based on the 4 hour.
Yeah, the 4 hour this morning was the one I was watching, because that was the one that basically told me that we were at not bottom oversold in terms of that 4 hour thing. We were so pegged off on the down on the stock and RSI. The regular RSI was basically almost in that oversold zone. And even though it was very stressful, but seeing those indicators gave me a lot of confidence that in terms of a risk versus reward zone, that 7,200 to 7,300 area, that felt like a legitimate bottom based on the 4 hour, which is a really good indicator that kind of really can tell you kind of where the trend is starting to head.
Do you got the 4 hour up right now?
I do.
You see, I just drew a trend line. It may show up on your feed right now. Are you seeing that trend line in the 4 hour?
I am seeing it.
So we're right there. This is what I would call an immediate trend. It's really only got 2 points, so it's not like you really need at least 3 to have any kind of legitimate trend line. But so we're right there. I'd be interested to see if we can close over this trend line. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, what you're showing there is with the trend line is that's kind of that resistance channel that's bouncing off. Boy, it wanted to get there pretty quick, and it did. We kind of expected at this point it's going to not necessarily pierce it instantly. And frankly, I'm fine seeing it hit this resistance, it basically tells me that the current chart fundamentals are still in play here, and I wouldn't be surprised if it takes some time, kind of bouncing off this until it hopefully can push through at some point.
It kind of seems like a pattern break to me, though. You see how we were kind of doing these bear flags, right? Bear flag, straight down, bear flag down to 87. And then another bear flag down here at 79, and it looked like we might form another bear flag here when we drop to 73, 74, and I think we kind of broke that pattern. So I do see a little bit of a pattern shift here. Do you want to take us through the GDAX L2 just to kind of get a little bit of a flavor?
Yeah, you want to pull it up?
Yeah, where are we looking at here?
All right, well, let's just start with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And let's pull up the daily just to get an overall sense.
Okay.
And I mean, just a gorgeous bullish engulfing candle happened yesterday. We have full engulfing of the previous day's price action that closed red. That's what you want to see for a trend reversal. And if you kind of compare that to our previous February 6th low, there's a lot of similarities in that candle. Basically a red candle followed by a nice green one with a nice wick there. And I love to see kind of a follow-on into today. Now, if you want to click on the depth chart there, they can kind of get a sense of where the money is parked right now on Bitcoin.
Is my live stream on right now? Yeah. Okay, we're good. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm seeing you. I think we're good there. Let's go to the depth chart there. There you go. Okay. So let's just hit the minus button there and zoom out ever so slowly. And you're just seeing something very different that we didn't see yesterday. Basically, what we're seeing is the slope of the green is a lot lower than what we saw yesterday. And almost there's kind of an equivalency now happening in terms of where the money is parked. You actually have a lot of money parked at a higher price point, probably from people that were able to scalp in this morning at the lower price. And that's very encouraging. That basically tells me that we might be turning a corner here. Now, I still am seeing some bearishness. If you zoom all the way out, you can basically see that it's still slightly in a bearish mindset there. But the initial slope of where the green wall is, so to speak, that's telling me that the money is not as much parked back to 7,300 because there's a sense that that time for now is past and that basically we're on an uptrend. I want to continue to watch this over the next couple of days and see if there's more of a definitive change where basically all the money becomes parked up at a much higher price and less of it is parked down at a lower price, and that will definitely signal a trend change and a price direction. And these are kind of the things that you want to see here. Also, just the volume is really nice here. I don't know if you can head back to just the price chart there. We had 2 days of kind of lackluster volume, showing on the GDAX platform, and then yesterday's volume, it almost doubled. It looks like from the previous day there. That's something you want to see. That's new money flowing in. That's basically buyers coming back into the market, and these are just all a continuation of some really nice bullish signs here.
All right. Yeah, I kind of like what we're seeing. Everyone's panicking and they're calling for 2,000, 4,000, and I've just, you just got to stay cool and you just got to have a plan. And I've been saying, if you watch this show, it's like until we break the lower trend line, close below it, not like a wick, right? Like we did back in Feb 5 and 6, or till we close above the upper trend line. I'm not going to get too excited either way. We're range bound. So when we were right at the lower trend line and we had that cool off on the 4-hour chart, it looked like a bounce, but you had people say, oh no, there's no bounce. And for me, the key signal was everyone was so bearish, right? When everyone is so bearish, that's bottom, man. It's like it happens every time. So I think
when you're staring into the abyss on the precipice, that's that moment. And I think people need to kind of remember almost how they felt this morning when we were basically bottoming, and kind of what that felt like, because we'll be there again. We're going to be on an uptrend hopefully, and then that's kind of reverse at sometime soon. So you want to be prepared for that next time where you're basically seeing, oh, this is what a bottom moment feels like. And with Bitcoin, it seems to happen every few months.
I know, it really does. It's cyclical. So, like if you were to guess, what's happening, what's going to happen over the next like day or two here? You think we're going to hit that upper trend line, or are we going to go sideways here? What do you think?
Well, I think there really has been a paradigm shift on the trading today, mostly based on just the money flow. Kind of feels like I mean, all you really want to see is let's hold above 8,000. If we can hold above 8,000 for the next few days, try and establish a new base here.
Why is
Well,
8,000 more important than the trend line? Isn't the trend line more important than 8,000?
You're absolutely right about that in terms of the trend line, but I'm just thinking about what it was like over the past several days, where 8,000 seemed to be this moment where we got to hold above 8, we got to hold above 8, and when we broke it, almost felt like, are we kind of do the same thing we did in the 7s that we did in the 8s, basically be in there for almost a week, kind of bouncing through it. Mm-hmm. And the fact that we were in the 7s for a day or two tops, that's encouragement. If we start going back into the 7s again, at least in the next couple days, that would show me that this rally is kind of petering out and kind of losing steam, and that would give me pause that if this is really a trend change, or just kind of the last kind of hiccup upward before another bottom. But signs, loving the money flow, and the trend is your friend. So you're right. We keep this trend moving forward. This is what we want to see.
Guys, this is Cheds, and you were just hearing from my man there, Big Chonis. We're really happy to have you here charting crypto with Cheds. Let's go ahead and let's take a look at Ethereum. It seemed like Ethereum was getting hit a bit harder than the other coins earlier, and I think there was something to do with like EOS had just released a bunch of Ethereum into the market or something. Do you know anything about that, or did you at least notice how Ethereum really took a big hit?
Yeah, see, a lot of these altcoins are based on the Ethereum protocol. So because of that, and because we've all noticed how much most of the altcoins have been tanking, it's put a lot of downward pressure on Ethereum as a whole. I'm not too familiar with the whole EOS thing, but I know that it probably added a lot of liquidity into the market. And, what was so interesting about where Ether specifically bottomed is, we bottomed back on the 6th at 555. I remember that very clearly, and had a nice run. And now this bottom was at 450. It's like Ether loves to find these very specific, price, like even numbered price points. I mean, it almost feels at this point in hindsight, oh, that was an obvious bottom. If we were at 555 last time,
it's psychological, right? A lot of these support and resistances are psychological.
Exactly. The way Litecoin basically found a historic support at $100 a few months ago. Ether maybe is finding listen, Ether is worth no less than 450, somewhere between 450 and 550, and that kind of seems like that's what the market's currently telling you here.
When the market speaks, we listen, right?
What they say.
Let's see here. Let's take a look. So we're kind of in the same situation with Litecoin, with Ethereum. Litecoin had that nice, really nice candle yesterday, which is still today, but the candle just closed. And nice 4-hour reset, beautiful candle here. Let's see. So it's like on the 4-hour, same with the other majors. On the 4-hour, it's still room to run. 1 hour's a little bit overbought. But 4 hours cooling off nicely. I think we're going to see Litecoin continue to push here. We'll check back in the show, but when the stochastics RSI dips down here, I think we're going to see it make a new leg. So let's keep an eye on that. Let's get some altcoins out of the way. What do you say?
Do you want to do Litecoin, or do you want to start into the crypto alts?
Well, we just did Litecoin. I just basically said that Litecoin looks like Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it's resetting nicely on the 15-minute stochastics RSI. It's cooling off. It had this bull pennant. It broke out. It's doing another consolidation pattern.
Yes.
So Litecoin looks good. Litecoin looks good. I think we'll keep going here. But let's jump. Let's go. I'm going to do alphabetical, a bunch of these altcoins, and then we'll check the chat, and you guys can put in your requests. All right, let's take a look at ADA. You mentioned, what was it, 12? We said maybe 1,200 could hit Was it 1200 or was it 1500 on the show yesterday? I don't remember what we
I
said.
think we were still hovering over 12, and we were saying it could go to 15 was its next kind of parking spot.
It had a really nice bottom here. A bunch of these alts have had a nice bottom, and we'll cover them. What's this weird line just in the middle of the screen? Okay. So yeah, a brutal set of candles in the 4-hour for ADA. Red candles, and then we have these two nice green candles off bottom. This third candle is still only 30 minutes in, so we can't really give it too much weight yet. But 4 hours looking good. But I don't. It's probably going to get rejected at the middle Bollinger, is my guess. What do you think?
Well, you have to remember that the alt values are based on the Bitcoin values. Mm-hmm. So we're seeing two things here. We're seeing, obviously, if the price of Bitcoin rises through the day, the alts, basically, if there's no negative price action, will basically rise with it. But these are those moments where you want to try and find an alt which is diverging more positively than Bitcoin is, basically rising at a faster pace. So yeah, I totally agree that, ADA's got some 3 great 4-hour candles put in there, little resistance there, and it's kind of falling in step with how Bitcoin's been reacting over the past few hours. But you have to ask yourself, is this just because the value of Bitcoin is higher, or this actual money flow coming into ADA? And I think we talked about the chart, from a distance there. This one definitely could still come down more, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see Bitcoin starting to kind of level off in terms of price action, if you might see some continued downward pressure on ADA.
I could go either way. I mean, if I look at 4-hour, I think it's going to stall at like 2,000, but if I go to the daily, it's oversold. We have that nice morning star. After briefly dipping below the Bollinger, and I would think we might see even 25 or something like that, 25, 26. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Let's scroll through here and do DGD.
The old favorite?
Sure. We have many old favorites. DGD, this daily looks kind of funky. But we do have a little what is this, an ascending triangle?
This is one of those alts that we have been watching that's actually had some really good money flow coming into it. Mm-hmm. What we're seeing is an upward trend here. I mean, this is an upward trend, consolidation over a longer term. On the daily, it's clearly putting in higher lows. It's having some pretty significant pullbacks while it does this. But this is clearly and we talked about this, it's definitely one that kind of keeps moving up, and until that kind of higher low pattern is broken, this is a bullish chart.
Higher low. So we got here 125, we've got 217, and then we got these almost like a double bottom in the daily. That was a nice signal for a short-term scalp here. So let's continue on. Let's look at Enigma, ENG, and guys, I'm just going to scroll through some that I know I'll be asked about, and then I'll check the chat, and we'll try to get them all out of the way. Enigma Daily looks pretty good in the short term. Wow, look at that wick, Jonas, on the Enigma Daily chart. Is that real? Did we dip to 6,000? ENG BTC?
6,000?
Yeah, look at the wick. ENG BTC on the Binance. Looks like we went as low as 6102. I wonder if that was just like a fat finger or something. You see what I'm talking about?
Oh, okay. No, I'm not seeing. Okay, I have the Bittrex Enigma chart out. That's why I'm not seeing.
There's no volume in Bittrex. What are you doing, buddy? Get with this century, okay? Are you still using the fax machine? What's going on? So yeah, I mean, we had that dip to 61. I mean, it was probably a fat finger. It'd be weird to have that type. I mean, 14,000 to 6. So we can probably ignore most of that wick. It looks okay here. On the 4-hour, I mean, it was almost an abandoned baby, but not really. A couple 4 hours ago, a couple candles ago, and but you were really very far below the Bollinger there at 1600 hours today, and we're starting to recover. 1 hour looks a little hot, but I'm guessing the 15-minute is about to make
I
a new
do
leg.
like.
Yeah.
I do like the fact that it's finding some support in this historic price range. We've been in this 15,000 ish area before, when it basically had its first run, and basically that's where it's bouncing off right now. So that's the good news. The bad news is that if we break that, the candle that brought us there was pretty big, and if we break that, we're going to fall right to about 11,000 pretty quickly. So I do like the fact that it is finding some support here.
Yep.
But if you don't see an uptrend start to form, there's a good chance it could fall. And because of how it got there, I wouldn't be surprised if the fall was pretty steep and quick, because there wasn't much support on the way up. It's not going to be as much on the way down as well.
I mean, it looks like to me it's about to test the top of this channel. You got that crossing on the 15-minute Jonas, and you've got the OBV spike. So I mean, this could test the top of his channel here shortly. What do you think?
I agree, and I also do like the OBV is pretty consistent all the way through. Pretty much a lot of people have kind of held on to this one through this correction period. Those are always really encouraging things you want to see. If you see OBV falling off a cliff, something feels fishy about that. So I do like the fact that the OBV, although descending,
OBV is no good, bro. Well, I guess if you scroll back out, the OBV.
I'm scrolling. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm trying to find like a little feather there.
Look at that. Look at the slope. So that's some bullish divergence. Look at the slope of the OBV from the peak, the price peak to current.
Yeah.
Like the price lost more than the OBV. So you're making a good point.
It did, and now the RSI is starting to slightly uptrend here, so we'll see where that can take us. Plus, it's super oversold.
So. We're having too much fun, man. It's already 38 minutes in. Let's go to fun. We'll just crank through these real quick.
Sure.
Fun in the 4-hour, nice recovery as well. Kind of like everything else we're seeing. Coming off of oversold. Is that kind of what you're looking at?
Yeah, my F key is not working.
That's okay.
I'm going let's take a peek here. Yeah, see, this is another one that definitely keeps leveling out here. Remember, the longer you're at a certain price point, the larger the base is being formed there. So we've been in this, 400 to 500-ish Satoshi range here. Also corresponds with some previous support at these levels. The longer we're here, the better confidence I can see that we're kind of finding an uptrend. Plus, the daily, we are super oversold. OBV is pretty strong, and I like the uptick slightly in the RSI.
GTO, GTO BTC, not that much volume. Let's skip that one. Let's go to ICX. ICX, nice candle in the daily. Morning star, dip below the Bollinger. It's trying, but it was already mid-channel, so it'll be interesting to see if this can, what this can do. Some of the other ones, the stochastics RSI was oversold. This one's kind of right in the middle.
I kind of like this one. I like the candle we put in yesterday. This is actually one of the better hammers we've seen on some of these alts. And the stock on RSI is actually kind of turning up in this middle area here, which makes me think that this one has a lot more bullish kind of momentum. Normally, you want to see the stocking completely reset. Because it almost feels like it's turning direction halfway down. This might be a bullish momentum sign here. I definitely want to keep an eye on this one.
Okay. I feel pretty good about I tweeted earlier that it's getting close to bottom on these alts, and a lot of they're kind of putting in that bottom already. A lot of these are up like 10 or 15% from that tweet. So it'd be nice to see them continue on. Mana, we talked about Mana. Was it last night? Man, that had a crazy bounce from this is 1 hour. That had a crazy bounce from like 900 all the way to 12 to 13. Wow. And
yeah, this is one that's holding this great support zone right at 1,000 Satoshi. I'm not entirely convinced.
Is it holding it? Are you telling me?
Well,
I mean,
we have a bounce hold, we have a dip under, we have a push through, and that was kind of the price action we were looking at past few days. And then it put in some pretty nasty wicks. And what do you call that? A red light, green light, or a green light, red light, which is bearish, and that's why we got that nasty candle yesterday. And that's another thing. Even though it did kind of put in a comeback yesterday, This one is diverging bearishly compared to Bitcoin based on yesterday's candle. This is one that is kind of test potentially some downward momentum. But one of those things that the longer we're in this kind of price zone, and we've been bouncing around this 1,000 Satoshi zone for a month now. So it just wants to hold this zone, and that's very positive.
All right, a daily chart though, I'm seeing this coming down. I mean, the daily chart's no good. It's not like the other ones because it just had that run. So I wouldn't be too excited personally about Nano. Nano's a big favorite of the people. Yeah, good, nice, nice candle again off the bottom. Short term, nice bounce just like the other ones. Kind of what you're seeing for Nano.
Yeah, that one had a great hammer yesterday. Actually, it did. However, it did give a lot of it back, and it's definitely having a great start today.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This one needs some more time. I do like the price action here. Definitely some money flow flowing in here. And the stock on RSI on the daily could definitely be resetting bullishly now.
Let's go to NCASH. Same as, look at that's crazy. Nano and NCASH, it's like almost the exact same candles for the last, if you go 1 hour and you just switch between Nano and NCASH, it looks the same. It's kind of interesting.
Same price almost too, yeah.
I mean, you can't tell me there's not like 3 guys in a basement just moving, moving the market. I mean, is that basically what everyone thinks, and it's probably true?
Who knows with these things sometimes?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right, let's go to NEO. NEO. Also looks pretty good on the 4 hour, and nice daily candle, nice hammer here. What's a little different in NEO is the hammer didn't, look at the proximity of the hammer and NEO on the daily, big joiners. Look at the proximity to the lower Bollinger Band. It was not quite as oversold as some of the other ones. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, this one has had quite a slingshot back. Nice kind of hammer on the daily yesterday. If you want to pull up the 4 hour,
Whoa, 4 hour.
it basically had a nice, almost engulfing, and it's fighting through these wicks here. These wicks are kind of like, it's
a harami
battle.
That's a harami.
Yeah,
Bearish harami. That's a bullish harami inside.
Bullish harami. Yeah, I'm liking that. I'm definitely liking the price action here. And this one was pretty oversold too, so I'm not surprised doing this. Look at the 4 hour. It definitely has a little more room to run. And the daily too. I mean, it kind of reset. This one definitely, from a technical point, might have some upward momentum in it.
OST hasn't really recovered yet. OST did have this nice hammer, but we haven't seen the follow-up yet on this one. So OST doesn't look as good. We haven't seen the volume or the follow-through. Some of these other alts have had off bottom.
Yeah, this one seems to be keeping fading. Stock on RSI is sold off, RSI is off, and the OBV keeps dumping. No one seems to be wanting to hold this one, so I'm not so sure about this one.
Keep going for a moment. My TV just popped on.
What else we got here? Nothing much more in OST. What do we got here? Quick Bitcoin update, 83.84 and holding, still looking good, still bullish.
We'll do real quick Bitcoin, and I want to churn through these altcoins. We might run a little late today, but I want to make sure we get them done. Yep, Bitcoin's churning, kind of what we said before, right at that upper trend line. Let's go to, we did OST, so yeah, you haven't seen the follow through yet on OST. PO, 338 PO, looks okay. Pretty good off the bottom. We're up 10% already. What do you think about PO?
Yeah, this one, again, nice movement. Definitely a good reset on the 4 hour there. Daily can come down more. This one, the volume's been really suspect in this one. It's just nothing, and that's why you got this very orderly but continued deflation. I wouldn't be surprised if we're going back to the 200s, just based upon it's finding no support in the 200 zone. Seemed to have decent historic support back in December there, and it had two massive kind of candles that started on its bull run. Wouldn't be surprised if we're going to reset back in the 200s range, which would pull this down at least another 100 Satoshi.
Let's check out TRX Tron.
That's your favorite one, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite. That's my second favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, look at this is interesting. To look at the daily chart in Tron, and you can see how it bounced, but like the hammer here. But look at that OBV that just didn't budge. Right? You see these other coins we talked about before, like ENG. Oh, you don't see it there. What were one of these other ones that had like an OBV uptick? Maybe I'm being just too hard on TRX.
Well, no, I think that's a very interesting point, because if you look at it from the daily, you said, okay, you're like, oh, look at that. The stock in RSI is reset. We got a nice little uptick in the RSI showing some life there. But then you look at the OBV and you're like, that's suspect, because we actually had a little bit of a pop. I mean,
well,
a little bit of money
4 hour
flow.
looks okay. 4 hour we're 320. We went to 315.
Yeah.
I've always said under 300 would probably be an okay spot for it. Maybe we'll get there, maybe we won't. But we're having some nice follow through here on the 4 hour and 1 hour flagging. And
Yeah, I mean, if this one really wants to go down more, I mean, maybe we can find some support in the 250 zone. But, you're kind of right there. This really has reset in this area here. And the question is, and I think this is something that we're going to learn in the next few months about how most of these alts peaked at kind of the same time in mid to late January, and they've all come down pretty much the same way, some worse than others. The legitimacy of some of these projects, though, I think is going to be really transparent over the next few months, where you actually see some of these alts that have been beat down so much actually start to make a recovery, and the ones that keep falling like a dead stick, those are the ones that basically will not be trading on any platforms anytime soon when the money flow just dries up.
yeah, we've seen a couple delistings, right? So it'll be interesting to see throughout the course of the year, how that plays out. TRX, let's go to Ven. Looks okay. Let's go 4 hour. All right. Looks a little different. Thankfully it's a little different. I don't want all these charts to look the same. Yeah, Ven looks different. Oh, thank goodness. We do have we're heading toward a little bit of a pinch, but we're overbought on the Ven chart as opposed to some of these other ones. What are you seeing?
Yeah, this is one that's been held up pretty well. It had such a massive run. It's kind of consolidated quite a bit. It's kind of trying to find some historic support here. We're right there in this 45,000 range. However, just like all the other ones that had that parabolic move, there's lots of running room to kind of come down. Was not a lot of support on the way up there. We're kind of finding it right here. That's kind of why we've been hovering here. The dailies, and what's kind of ominous is the daily is overbought. OBV kind of has held up somewhat decently. Kind of if you zoom out the big picture there on the daily, you're like, all right, there's definitely some people still interested in this coin here. But right now, this one has coming lower written all over me.
Yeah, I've got on the daily on yesterday we had the spinning top and a hammer and a hanging man. It's basically the same candle. It's just the context of where it appears.
Absolutely.
So this isn't a hammer. This is a hanging man, right? Yesterday's candle on Ven. Yeah, it looks like a hanging man to me. I think this is going to test low 40s, maybe even 38, 39. Let's see. I know WTC's looks a little better. Walton coin. Probably, it looks like it might need another day or two, just based on my amateur opinion. We did have that spinning top, that bullish spinning top yesterday, and we're trying to recover, but I think it could go another day or two down here. What do you think?
Yeah, there's still some indecision here in the price action.
Yeah. Go 4 hour. Let me interrupt.
Yeah.
You. Go 4 hour. Look at the wick. Look at the upper wick in that last 4 hour candle and compare that to the candle bodies we've seen in some of these other coins we've talked about.
It's a pretty nasty wick, and also it's interesting that it did happen to get rejected looks like from that, what, 15, 16,000 Satoshi range, where it seemed to try and find support in the past couple days. It failed that support, broke down lower, tried to push it above it, and then got rejected. So even though we're kind of on a nice little uptrend there on the 4-hour, this one still has a decent amount of downward pressure there, and we really have not bottomed on the daily just yet.
Let's go to XLM Lumen on the daily. Yeah, look, see this what you want to see. You want to see this hammer candle off bottom with a nice volume, and you get the stochastics crossing. But you should always be careful, because you see how on the daily chart, Jonas, you see how it shows stochastics is crossing? It's not really, do you see what I'm saying? That's how you see how it shows it's crossing?
Yes.
It's not crossing yet, because that takes into account today's candle, which is like an hour, right? Not even an hour, 1/24th of a candle. So I'm not saying it's going to. I'm just giving people word of caution that in terms of how to interpret these signals. You look at this daily chart, you say, oh, and if you read my guide, by the way, at chedstrading.blogspot.com, and if you went to chart basics section and I talk about stochastics RSI, stochastics RSI, and I talk about the crossing buy signal right here, crossing. So you'd say, oh, it's crossing, it's a buy signal, but this candle hasn't formed yet, so you have to wait for the candle to close. So you actually almost have to ignore the fact that it looks like it's crossing, but you can at least say that it's oversold. What are you seeing with Lumen?
Yeah, XLM Lumens, Stellar Lumens. This is one of those that I really like. Sort of the people and the idea behind the project. Definitely has a lot of potential, but I'm seeing the potential for this to come down further, and the reason for that is, yes, they put in a great camera yesterday. Probably a lot of that coincided with the Bitcoin move, but I want to see it come down to the 1500 range, only because that's only kind of show you that bottoming based on the historic support. It had a real parabolic move, and because of that move, there's nothing kind of holding it up until it gets to that kind of 1500 Satoshi range. Right now it seems to basically be held up on a 200-day. Mm-hmm. But I just feel like this one still has some downside on it, even though on the daily, the stock and RSI has reset, and the OBV is very strong with this one. It just, people are really kind of been told on this one for a while. It's one of the strongest OBVs we've actually had a chance to look at, which is kind of interesting here. So there's a lot of people kind of, following this one. Also, it does help the fact that from a valuation standpoint, it's been in the top, 10, 15 through all this time. So just from a pure exposure standpoint, a lot of people are kind of beginning to get familiarized with Lumen and Stellar Lumen, and
number 8.
But again,
number 8 right now.
Yeah, which is very impressive. But until this thing finds a real bottom, I just don't think you're going to see the kind of money flow, and I don't think we're there yet.
Okay. Guys, once again, this is Cheds, Crypto Charting with Cheds. I'm here with my main man, Big Jonas. Just want to remind everybody you can find me on Twitter at Big Cheds. If you want to learn, which everybody should want to learn, I have this blog, chedstrading.blogspot.com. Lots of great articles for you. A must read and a must often read and often reference is the Complete Beginner's Guide to Cryptocurrency Trading. Got to check it out. Lots of great sections. And if you guys want to show some love, Litecoin address right there. Feel free to subscribe to YouTube as well. More content coming. Let's go to Ripple. XRP on the daily. XRP. Yeah, it looks pretty good, but it might need another day. We've got that similar candle with these other ones. We saw that capitulation. It's funny, yesterday on our live broadcast last night, I'll give you credit, which I hate to do, but I'll give you credit. You talked about us needing like a flush and a dip, and I said, oh, we don't need a flush, we don't need a dip. And I think we kind of got that in Bitcoin. So I'll give you credit for making that call. And I think we saw that on Ripple too. If you look at the Ripple daily, it looks like it dropped to 7,100. I mean, you snagged anything in the low sevens. You're already sitting pretty. What do you see on Ripple?
Yeah, that's a capitulation move there, at least on yesterday's price action. Unless it was some sort of crazy fat finger, but I don't think so. I
No,
think it
we're
was
seeing it.
actually down low. Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing it in all
Um,
these candles. Yeah, on all these
yeah.
coins. Yeah.
So, that's always good to see. Kind of basically signifies that there might be a floor here. It's funny, the chart's very similar to a lot of the ones we've been seeing tonight, where basically, you know what, we're finding this bottom, but when you zoom back and you see kind of how much it went up. Another example of one finding kind of historic support on the third step, but the second step and then the first step down are kind of waiting for them. And I wouldn't be surprised if Ripple still has some continued significant downward momentum.
Yeah, this is a legit 10 bagger, huh?
Oh, it was nuts.
Yeah, it was a 10 bagger. Let's keep going. We got a bunch more to do, and we only got a few minutes left, and we want to keep talking about Bitcoin. Let's go to XVG for all the Verge heads out there. XVG, I don't like it. I mean, I don't hate it, but OBV is good, but volume is weak, and the hammer was unimpressive. It's just a long, not even a hammer, a long-legged doji yesterday, and it looks like it could come back down a little bit based on stochastics. What do you think?
Yeah, this one is given back so much with a massive parabolic move, still kind of deflating. It's finding a little support here in this zone. Wasn't much kind of propping it up though that brought it to these highs. So yeah, this one still has downward momentum. I'm not liking the stock on RSI. It had no momentum. That it was able. It almost appeared it was beginning to have a turn the corner there a little bullishly, and then just totally flip the script. And the RSI is so low, it basically says that there's not a lot of money flowing into this thing, so it's not ready yet.
Let's go ZRX. ZRX had a nice hammer here off the bottom. We do have this. I think I drew a 4-hour downtrend line. So we got this downtrend line in the 4-hour I am watching. It's not exact, but it's right about there. ZRX had some nice buying here after dipping below 5. You and I have been talking about this every show, and 5 was pretty low, so it's had a nice kind of a recovery bounce off of 5. We'll have to keep an eye and see if how much continuation we have. 4 hours says there's still some room to run. What are you seeing on ZRX?
Yeah, this one needs some more time here. I mean, the daily is just really ugly on the stock and I mean, it is kind of putting in a downward wedge, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple areas where you can kind of try and draw a trend line to kind of find this wedge pattern, which can be a bullish sign, but there's really no sign of this thing.
Falling wedge. Falling wedge.
Oh, sorry. Yes, the falling wedge.
How dare you? How do I draw that? Do I go?
But it almost feels like the wedge is accelerating its decline. So it almost feels like it's breaking apart more into a kind of a falling.
This is falling wedge. Look at that. This is kind of a pretty interesting falling wedge here. I mean, there's only a couple points here in this bottom line, but
yeah,
we're gonna follow it.
Something to keep an eye on. This is again one of those tokens that has some good technology behind it, and I'm hopefully expecting some positive things in the coming year.
Let's do some real quick. I'm seeing a lot of requests. LUN and LUN. Yeah, daily is not nearly as encouraging as these other coins. LUN. I mean, there's no volume, but it looks kind of ugly. What do you think?
It's an ugly chart. This is an example of just a nasty looking chart where random volume spikes the price, but there's no real heartbeat here. I'm not liking this one at all.
Let's go to BAT. BAT BTC. BAT. BAT BTC. Yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's still pretty ugly, though. I don't really see much strength. I didn't really see the type of capitulation I'd want to see. What do you think about BAT? Oh yeah, no good. I mean, look, you got 4 hour. Look at this. Look at this hammer we had. I mean, look at this. Sorry, this candle on the last candle in the 4 hour, too.
Yeah, this one's still pretty nasty. Little increased volume, but it seems to be more dumping volume. I'm not really seeing this accumulation volume.
Look at this OBV dip, dude. This thing's dumping. This thing's going lower, man.
Yeah. Even though the RSI is really low right now.
Hey, we got to argue with each other for a better show. We've agreed with each other way too much today. Let's go to WAX. 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 Oh yeah, it's still 4 hour, I mean, I'll go daily real quick just to keep it fresh. Well, it's a new coin. Daily looks ugly. 4 hour, I mean, it's recovering, but because of those upper wicks, and we're already starting to fail this candle, although it's early.
Yeah, this one's still trying to find some pricing, and Wax appears to only be on the Bittrex exchange. So whenever you have an alt that's only available on one exchange, that's some risky business there because you're just not going to get the liquidity. And a lot of times, alts on multiple exchanges, Bittrex, Binance, other ones, money flow props them all up. So if you only have one exchange that's available to buy one specific alt, you're not going to get a lot of money flow in that situation until other ones come on board. Then that'd be Wax will be one you want to
let's go SC BTC. Siacoin. We got 2 or 3 more alts, and then we'll do Bitcoin, then we'll wrap it up. Siacoin SC. Why don't you go first? What do you think here?
Let's take a look here.
Well, I'll go first. I don't like the we didn't get the right candle yesterday, right? Well, every other alt put in that nice candle. We didn't see it yesterday. We had we didn't get what we needed. What are you seeing?
Yeah, I agree with you. This one's been coming down for a while. I'm not really liking a lot of the price action. I guess the OBV's been pretty solid. I think a lot of people kind of hang on to this one. These price points when you're in this low hundreds Satoshi range, that just tells you there's a tremendous amount of liquidity out there on coins like these. So you have to keep your price expectations in order. This one's parabolic move, only brought it up to about 600 Satoshi. So although 134 Satoshi seems incredibly cheap, there's a reason for that.
Let's go NEBL, NEBL. NEBL on the, let's see. Ooh, I didn't like that last candle. Look at the hourly in NEBL. And look at that last candle we just had that just finished. I mean, that really nice surge, but you get that big upper wick, and it looks kind of overbought. On the 1 hour, 4 hour says there's room, but I don't know. What do you think about NEBL here? I mean, it could just churn. I mean, if it churns and holds 10, you might be okay. What are you seeing here?
Yeah, it's not the worst price action. If you're on the 4 hour and you kind of zoom out a little bit, you see a lot of historic big wick candles. Yeah. And that just basically tells me there's a lot of kind of pumping in this one, and just it doesn't hold up. This one is still clearly in a downward trend.
Let's jump back to, let's go to Bitcoin. I'm gonna go on the 1 hour chart since we just finished the candle. Why don't you tell us what you're seeing here on our good friend Bitcoin?
So the Bitcoin 1 hour is pulling it up right now. Okay, so let's take a peek and zooming in. Come on, computer. All right, so the previous hour, definitely got some resistance in the 40, 84, 50 area. I like the fact that we've basically been holding up in the last 4 minutes of this new hour. Listen, any hour where you can put in a green candle is a good hour.
That's right.
Looks like it's still trying to, I wouldn't be surprised for a little more consolidation here. It's had such a great move throughout the day, at least yesterday. So I'd actually be fine with seeing a lot of sideways action over the next several hours.
Yeah, definitely.
Again, as long as we can hold above that 8,000 area,
right.
I'm fine giving up a couple $100 as long as we can hold in that area.
Yeah, I think it would be healthy to form a new base above 8 here. I mean, for me, 4 hour is king. 4 hour tells me we can still keep going here, but we might need to consolidate just based on the strength of the previous candle and how much ground you made up. I mean, what was our low? 7,300 on Coinbase, and then on Bitfinex. What do we go? We went as low as 7,240. So I mean, that's 1,000. That's more than 1,000. So it's had a big move. It needs a little bit of time because you have all those people who are bottom feeders. They come in, right? They load up, and they're just looking to scale out. As soon as they hit that $500 or $1,000 move. So that's why you have to flag. You know, that's why in any type of move you have to, you have to consolidate, right, before you can go higher.
Yeah, you don't want to see just a straight green arrow going straight up, because that tells you you have no support under there. So it's fine to see these pullbacks. We just dropped $100 in Bitcoin literally in the past 2 minutes. But what I'm seeing on the L2 especially is then the buyers rush in. There's money flow coming in here. I'm loving the money flow. There's these suckouts followed by a push, and then the bulls come back. And I'm just liking this trading here. This is feeling like it's got much more of a bullish heartbeat now. And I really feel like, at least in this short-term moment, and this will definitely have to play out over several days, which we want to see. But let's keep flagging bullishly here. I'm loving it. We are overbought right now, so let's consolidate. Let's allow these kind of trend lines to reset, a lot of these indicators to reset, and then maybe tomorrow, the next day, we can kind of try and push for that next leg higher.
All right, I think it's a great analysis, and really glad thanks again for joining us, everybody. Charting Crypto with Cheds. Here, my main man, Big Jonas. He does a great job. We appreciate it. Check me out on Twitter, Big Cheds. Check out the blog, Never Stop Learning. Check me out on YouTube, and stay safe. Have a great night, guys. Take care.